Well, I thought I'd do a map breakdown of the West Highland Way while it's all still fresh in my mind. So this is on the West Highland Way website. You can download this map, and it directs you to Google Earth, which I found is more handy. So we're going to go through it. I'm going to break down what's on the way, what it's like, what you need, what you don't need, where it's steep, and so on. So just my thoughts on it while it's still quite fresh in my mind, and hopefully it'll be helpful to people that are thinking of doing the West Highland Way, because it's awesome. If you want to watch my previous video, it'll be the one before this. So, right, so you start in Milgarve. It's quite easy to get to. One little tip there, we drove there because afterwards we did the NC 500. There's a Premier Inn hotel which lets you keep your car there all week, and obviously there's a train station there too. But if you want to keep your car there, and then you can always get the bus or train back from Fort William at the end back to your car. So there's a helpful tip. So Milgarve is an okay little town. It's got everything there you need, big shops. It's got a Waitrose, Tesco's, Costa Coffees, places to eat, that sort of thing. So off you go. So this green route here is the West Highland Way. So we noticed a couple of people camping sort of along this area. So they might have got there by the train late at night and just cracked on and found somewhere. So there are plenty of flat spots dotted around. So all of this bit, I'm going to zoom out a bit because the first day is pretty straightforward. I don't really need to explain much. It's not that steep at all. It's pretty nice and it's signposted everywhere. I'm not going to say don't take a map, but you really don't need a map, but take one anyway, just in case it's like foggy or something. But it's so easy. It's just rolling nice paths. When you get to this bit, you see the distillery on the right, and you'll just walk right past. And when you get to here on the road, there's two places to eat. This place was closed. It was on a Sunday morning, but it was opening at 11. I think we were there at 10:30. But this place here was open, a really, really nice cafe with great food in it. So there's that there. Again, you see the West Highland Way signs everywhere. They're big wooden signs, you can't miss them. Just steady walking all through here, no problem at all. And then you get to this area, and there's a little bridge there, and there is an honesty box there as well. So when you get over this bridge, I think after this bit, it was all pretty straightforward. There is a reasonably steep bit. I think coming out of all up here, it's a long, long hill. It's not that bad, but it is a hill, and it certainly tests you a bit. If you get to this area and that hill's done you in, then don't bother with the rest of it, basically. But it's not that bad. A little bit of road walking. Again, the signs are so easy, you're not going to miss it. And then off you go through the lovely woodlands here. A little bit of hill walking. Now it splits here. So this is still the West Highland Way, and this one goes to Conic Hill. Now it was getting on a bit, and we had nowhere to stay, and we wanted to camp along Loch Lomond, which is here. And Conic Hill was just in massive mist and fog. So we thought, well, there's no point. So we're going to take the shorter route, which is along the road, pretty straightforward, straight into Balmaha. Balmaha is lovely. There's a place there called the Oak Inn, I think, sort of a big pub restaurant. It's beautiful. There's log fires in there. Really, really nice. The food was fantastic. But there's all kinds of campsites there. There's pods. There's places to stay. And in the morning, there's a really good little cafe next to the pub, and it's got a shop with lots and lots of camping supplies as well. So if you've forgotten something like a little gas stove or anything, it'll all be in there. And the cafe does great coffee and breakfast rolls as well. So we carried on in the night, and we camped along this bit here where it was flat. It was really flat, and it was great on the sand. And then in the morning, we walked back and went to Balmaha for breakfast. That's why we wasted so much time, because it was so beautiful. So along this bit here, following Loch Lomond, there's quite a few camping spots. But if it's in season, see where it's a bit faded out here, that means from, I think, April to September, you have to get a permit. If it's outside of that, like us at the beginning of October, you don't. So there's camping spots all over the place. This place here, the camping, there's a shop there as well. with bits and bobs and camping supplies, which is quite handy. It's all very nice. Casual campsite is the one with the shop, sorry. So that's another camping spot if you need it. There was loads and loads of lovely spots all along Loch Lomond that you could wild camp on. Beautiful beach, sort of beaches, it's lovely. Salaki campsite was nice. I don't think there was a shop there, we didn't see it, but there's lots of facilities there like toilets and sinks and things like that, and benches and parks if you want to stop and have something to eat. And there's a lovely sort of beach area there as well. Beautiful views. Once we left there, it was sort of inland a bit. You can't see anything. You're in the dense trees. And this is where it started to dawn on us that the path is quite difficult. It really does slow you down. It's sort of rocky, slippy. Sorry, I'm just having a sip of coffee. There's roots all over the path, so you have to really, really watch your step. So it does slow you down. You're sort of down to like 1 mile an hour, if that. Which is quite frustrating because you want to crack on and get the miles done, but you can't because you've really, really got to watch your step on a lot of it. Then we got to Roadennan, and there's a really nice place here called the Clansman. It's there. And we had lunch there and a beer. There's everything there, and you could stay there as well. And there's also some sort of camping place nearby as well, or holiday place. So that's nice, Roadennan. And then back on the infamous path again, and it got pretty savage along here. It was like, it just never seemed to end. And a lot of it, you're in the dense trees. You can't see the loch. It's quite annoying. And it was hot and muggy, actually, believe it. Along here somewhere is a bothy. It doesn't show up on this map. We had a look, but there was loads of people stuff in there drying. So I don't know where they were, but it was full up, so we didn't stay in there. So we ended up camping somewhere. I don't know where on this map, but on the woods, we found a flat spot. It was getting really, really dark, and we found this flat spot, so we took it. Unfortunately, I think it was up here, actually, because it was quite far away from the loch. Unfortunately, the next morning when we set off, if we had just cracked on a little bit more, we found some fantastic spots all dotted along on the beach and that, but where we camped was okay. That was fine. This path just gets brutal and it really starts getting demoralising. And that's just me anyway. Perhaps I'm a bit of a wuss, but we were both like, oh my goodness. Then we got to the Inversnaid hotel in the morning. We thought, oh, thank goodness we can have some breakfast. They weren't serving food until 11 o'clock. They'd done the breakfast bit for guests and that was done. So we managed to get some scones and a coffee, but I don't know if they used instant coffee, but it was not good, so don't do it. But they were nice, friendly. Have a cup of tea there instead. There was cakes and snacks. So there's the Inversnaid hotel there. After this bit, again, you're still on the loch with the path that is very, very difficult. There is a bothy along here somewhere. And then when you get to about here, it eases up. There was a perfect wild camping spot with the beautiful views, and I think it's out of the camping zone as well. So if you can get to the end of the loch, we were looking at it going, oh, if we just had another couple of hours daylight, that would have been amazing. So off you go. It's a bit of an incline here, nothing to worry about really. You're just cutting through valleys, which is lovely. And then we got to Benglass campsite. We got there mid-afternoon, but we stopped there because my nephew got a pod for £50 and all his stuff was dripping wet and it had a heater. Now this place has got everything. There are plush caravans or cabins if you want to hire them. There's the little pods that we had, one of these. There's a pub there, a restaurant, a shop, facilities, showers, and a laundry as well if you want to use it for £5 to dry all your stuff. This place was great, really, really nice. So we stayed there, got all our stuff sorted. And if you cross over the road here and go down here, I forget the name of this place, but there's a beautiful big hotel pub that did lovely food. And they were really, really friendly. So the next morning we were off again. A little bit of an incline here. Nothing too bad, really easy paths. And then along this bit, the views this way were stunning. We were lucky with the sun coming out. It was hitting all the mountains. So you're kind of cutting through the valleys, but the views were really starting to open up here. And this was beautiful along here, really, really nice. Make sure you've stocked up at Benglass because there's nothing along here, as you can see. There's nothing until you get to this bit, and you can go into Crinleric, where there's plenty of shops, I think, or a couple of shops, but we didn't because it's off the route, and we just kept going along the trail. Starts going uphill a little bit here, sort of rolling hills through the woods, and quite twisty. Now along here, unfortunately, is where Alex done something to his knee. So we were going downhill. I don't know what he did, but he twisted it bad, and this is where he started to really struggle. The path's fine, absolutely fine, all the way, and then you end up at Tyndrum, and this is where we stopped for some lunch. Tyndrum's fantastic. When you're walking along this bit, we saw loads of these cabin pod glamping things with jacuzzis outside overlooking the river. They probably cost a fortune, but they looked amazing. But Tyndrum is such a lovely little town. There's everything there you need. There's a hotel, pub hotel, which I ended up staying in on the way back. When I drove back, when I finished, I stopped there and I got a single room for £50 with breakfast, and the breakfast was massive. But there's cafes, pubs, and a really, really big shop as well with loads of camping bits and bobs and everything you could possibly need. So Tyndrum was great place to stock up or stop there if you want. We headed off from Tyndrum, and poor Alex, his knee was really seizing up. He managed to go for quite a way. This is pretty flat, all cutting through the valleys, really nice, not difficult at all, beautiful scenery. You can see, I don't know if you can sort of see the 3D scope here, but absolutely stunning route this. Nice, long, easy path. You can really smash out some miles here. Just get your head down, crack on it. Really, really nice. Now, this is all fenced off along here. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to wild camp along here, it was all fenced off and there was cattle. So, because we were looking, it was getting late. There was nothing until we got to over here, and we ended up here, I think, and we saw another couple camping along this bit. So you have to get over this little bridge bit, and then you start seeing wild camping spots. But beforehand, it's all fenced off and private land by the looks of it. So we camped here. It's flipping freezing, but we had the gear to stay warm, which was nice. And we were in a recess down here, so the wind wasn't getting us, which was lovely. Back on here in the morning, poor Alex could barely walk. It was a beautiful morning, really straight, nice long path. Absolutely no problem at all. You can absolutely smash it. And then you get to the bridge of Orchy, and here is a hotel. And there's a train station there as well, and a bus route. The buses stop here as well from Fort William or wherever. So that's handy if you need to. Well, it was handy for us because I had to get the train back here later. This is where Alex called it because he could barely walk. And we saw that there was a train coming. So we took the train, went back and went off and did the NC 500. This hotel here at the Bridge of Orchy, there's only one. Fantastic food. We had a breakfast roll, which was basically a full English breakfast with two buns on top of it. It had everything. It was absolutely huge, and the coffee was great as well, so that's really nice. So I came back 3 days later. By lunchtime I got the bus back to the Bridge of Orchy, and then I carried on here. Wild camping spots all along here straight away if you needed it. Really lovely. They're just dotted around everywhere, wild camping spots along this bit. And then it started to go up a bit. There was a steady hill, and the path was getting quite rocked and jagged. But the scenery is really, really starting to open up here. But yeah, a bit of a hill to meander through. Nothing too backbreaking, and it goes on and on, which was lovely. And you cut across the road for a bit. Actually, I got that. Yeah, I think that's a bit hilly, and then this bit starts getting quite barren and hilly as well. This goes up quite a way. There's a long, steady hill along here, so sort of getting you ready for the worst of it coming later on. The best of it as in scenery, but the worst of it as in hills. This goes on and on, so make sure you've got enough food from the Bridge of Orchy, because there's nothing along this route at all. You're literally out in the middle of the Highlands following this route until you get to, which should be coming up soon, here, yeah, the Glencoe mountain campsite. So I diverted off here and I camped here. It was £10 to camp. There are pods all along for a £75 to £90, depending on 4-berth or 6-berth. Great facilities, really big sort of restaurant cafe. They got a bar in there as well. Breakfast was amazing. It was expensive. They got supplies. Really good place to go, and it was £10 for a pitch, and the pitches are really, really flat as well, and you got an amazing view. If you want to go posher than that, go to King's House Hotel, which is over here. I think they do breakfasts and that there as well, so there's that there. This was the best bit now, so I left in the morning, and it's a really steady path. It's fantastic. It's flat. You don't have to look at the path to see. You're not going to trip over. You can just look at the view while you're following this path. It's stunning. Some people complain about the road noise, but it didn't bother me. I was just in awe of the scenery, which you're literally walking into Glencoe. It was absolutely stunning, and this goes on for quite a bit. Then you get to this bit here, which is the Devil's Staircase. There's a big stream. By the way, there's water everywhere, so if you've got a water filter, you can fill up anywhere. So there was a big stream here. I gulped down a load of water through the filter, filled up again, and then went up the Devil's Staircase. It wasn't that bad. It took me 40 minutes. It is steep, but it's over quicker than you think. And you can loads of people were stopping and looking at the view and taking photos. So it's not too bad, the Devil's Staircase. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, because I'm not super duper crazy fit, and I managed it all right with a big rucksack. So you get to the top, views, jaw dropping. Don't need to explain how good the views are. Then you start going downhill, and then the views this side are absolutely stunning. Now, bear in mind from Glencoe, there's nothing until you get to Loch. So make sure you've got enough food or snacks. Water's not a problem. There are streams everywhere. You can kind of see the 3D hill here. Now, when you start walking down through the forest, this burnt to Loch. This bit here was downhill for miles, and my legs were burning. So you got to take that into account. It's not just the uphills, it's the downhill. This bit I found tougher than the uphill bits, because I seem to struggle with the downhill more. So this was killer. Beautiful route, but tough. Then you're at Loch. I think this is about 15 miles away from the end at Fort William. So a good place to stop. It's got everything there you need. I didn't really stay there long. I just had some chips quick and a Coca-Cola, and then shut off again because it was like 2 in the afternoon. But there's loads of camping there, pods, hotels, I think, and shops. Now, everyone says about the Devil's Staircase being the worst. I would say this bit is the worst, to the top, to this path here. This was killer, and you're in the trees as well, so it's hot and humid. Well, it was when I did it. That was tough, and it's a really rocky, jaggedy path, and it's steep, and it just never, ever ends. You get those false summits everywhere, so bear that in mind when you leave Kinloch sorry. This is tough. I found it tough anyway. Once you get on this path here, it's fine. You just meander straight. It's not really hilly, and you can just smash out some miles. Now, from here to Fort William, there's nothing as far as supplies goes. There's plenty of water, so make sure you got enough snacks and food, okay? There's nothing. So you're just cutting through the valley. It's not hilly. It's not steep. You can really crack out some miles and enjoy the views. It's absolutely stunning. And then it starts getting a little bit hilly through this bit, but nothing to moan about. Yeah, up here, you're just starting to really meander up, as you can see, but it's not too bad compared to what you've already would have previously done. It was getting pretty dark at this point, but I wasn't too far from Fort William, so I just thought I'm going to crack it out. Complete change of scenery, but beautiful all the same. Really, really nice. And then you start getting to Fort William, which is here. So yeah, lovely big open path. I was doing all this bit in the dark. I had a head torch, but the path was really open and big, so it's no problem. And then straight into Fort William, and then that's the end of the West Highland Way. And there's train stations, bus stations there, hotels, whatever you need, and a Wetherspoons too, right next to the end sign. So So I hope that helps if you're thinking of doing the West Highland Way.